the Phantom Zone. One of the most mysterious exploits on 2B2T. If one were to enter the Phantom Zone, they would be able to duplicate entities, go invisible, and had a chance to teleport thousands of blocks in an instant. However, to get into the Phantom Zone was a feat in itself. What was the Phantom Zone, and how did it affect the server? To figure out what the Phantom Zone is, we had to go back to one of the first instances of it. The earliest occurrence was in early January of 2018. It started when a player named Deadly Dark Dragon rode his horse around his map arts at the -X Digger World Border base. Suddenly, he got glitched and had to relog. However, when he logged back in, his horse was gone. The next day, the horse was back in its original spot. Deadly Dark Dragon thought nothing of it. However, when he was riding that horse again a couple of days later, there was a second copy of his horse. He went to tell his group that were also at the World Border base and explained everything to them. They made sure to keep it secret, as they knew this could be a potential dupe. A few days later, another horse started phasing in and out of existence at random, but they weren't actually gone. That was the first thing they noticed. If the horse had a status effect when they disappeared, it paused, and the status effect would resume when the horse materialized again. It was like they went into another zone of existence, so to speak. The group started calling it the Phantom Dupe, and their operation was called Project Phantom. Some players trickled off for the day, since while they could get the horse to phase in and out, they couldn't dupe them again. The group didn't really know how it had happened to begin with. Deadly Dark Dragon and a player named Bramberly told a player named HTTP_Logan about the incidents. He wasn't at the base yet, but he wanted to help figure out the situation. Logan would tell them about how a player named Synaxis had managed to dupe a pig using entity speed by accident. So, the group tried to replicate it with horses. After a few attempts, Deadly Dark Dragon manages to get a horse into unloaded chunks and then logged out while riding that horse while in that glitched state. When he logged back in, something amazing happened. For the first time, they had managed to get a player into the Phantom Zone. So, how did the Phantom Zone look like? Well, when he was in the Phantom Zone, he was offset from the horse by about 80 blocks. He could see other players passing by, but they couldn't see him. He could also see entities being moved through it. The group had Deadly Dark Dragon relog to see what would happen, and it got him back out of the Phantom Zone and onto the second horse. For the next day, they started to manage how to dupe horses and get them into the Phantom Zone, but they couldn't get donkeys to work for the better part of the day. It was slightly different, although they are still not 100% clear on how exactly it was different. Bramberly was the one that duped the first donkey. The group decided to then build a long tunnel. It took them a while, but they managed to do it. They moved the donkeys over to the tunnel and then cut off communication about any of this happening to about 7 players. At some point, they realized you could chain the phantom donkeys into multiple dupes by moving the second donkey away from where the first player was stuck. Some technical players in the 2B2T community might think, hey, isn't this just an unloaded chunk dupe? Well, yes, but the group pushed it further. Most players thought all there was to it is that you ran the donkey up and down a tunnel, you went into unloaded chunks, had someone else hop on the second donkey, and then you would relog to find you have duplicated your donkey. But that was only one way to do it. The way the group did it was different. They ran the donkey up and down the tunnel, got into the unloaded chunks, and then logged out. They had a second player, or alternate account, go over to the spot where the player logged off, and got the donkey. They would then move the donkey way out of range of where it was, which was around 100 blocks, and then had the player log out and relog back in. That player would be in the Phantom Zone, and other players couldn't see them, and that player couldn't load chunks. However, if done right, there would also be another donkey in the Phantom Zone, and they could keep moving it away from that spot each time. The player would be stuck where they were in the Phantom Zone, unless another player forced them out, or if the server glitched and kicked the Phantom Zone player. The donkeys in Bramberly's video were also not normal. Every time the player Metres moved the donkey to the end of the tunnel, the previous donkey wasn't there, but all of the donkeys would phase back in when they were done duping. The last donkey in the video died from entity cramming, even though there were no donkeys near it since they were phantom zoned. At the ending of the video, you can see Bramberly riding a donkey and pop out of the phantom zone after he relogged. Some players in the group would tell the general public, however, there was a chance of losing items. They told the public that there was a 50-50 coin toss and you could only get one donkey. This was far from the truth. The group had lots of techniques to minimize losses, so while everyone thought it was a 50-50 chance, it was really like a 90-10, 95-5 chance, and were able to get 5 to 20 donkeys out of each phantom zoning. It didn't require the group to relog that much, and they ran a lag machine pretty consistently since lower ticks per second was better for the phantom zoning. At one point, the group could teleport thousands of blocks to a separate tunnel while duping to another donkey that had been phantom zoned weeks ago. They had no idea how it happened, and they weren't able to replicate it, but they were worried. If someone could figure out how it worked, they could cross tunnel teleports across the world. They would keep phantom zoning for a few days, but one day, they couldn't use the phantom zone. They couldn't figure out why for a bit, but then they realized something very peculiar had happened. Deadly Dark Dragon and Bramberly, who did most of the phantom zoning, couldn't unload Minecraft chunks. They literally, physically, could not unload chunks all of a sudden unless they relogged. When they tried to turn off the lag machine, it didn't turn off when they walked out of the chunks for it. Every other player was fine. Their alternate accounts were fine. It was specifically their main accounts that couldn't unload Minecraft chunks. They were forced to start relogging over and over at each end of the tunnel to reload the chunks, which brought some attention to them. Bramberly would email the owner of 2B2T, Housemaster, saying the following. I've been noticing some weird chunk loading issues recently. Have you done something new to the way chunks load? Or am I encountering some weird bug here? Housemaster would reply back, Hello, can you describe what you are seeing and what you are doing when it's happening? There was recently a change to how chunks load and generate in Spigot and Paper, not the server itself, and it shouldn't have affected most players in most situations. Thanks. Bramberly didn't want to admit they noticed, since they were running a lag machine constantly, so he would reply back with this. So here's the issue. Me and a few others are unable to unload chunks normally. If we walk out, they don't unload. If we try to hit F3 plus A, it doesn't reload. If we toggle X-ray, which normally serves as a way to unload chunks, it doesn't work either. The only way we can unload chunks is to relog, and even then, it doesn't always reload. When it does work, it still takes multiple minutes for it to eventually unload. I don't think it's tied into the Spigot changes, as this has happened in the last 2 days or so, not from the changes made like 2 weeks ago to Paper Spigot. It's a little hard to explain, so sorry if this is a little confusing. Housemaster never responded back, but the next day, Bramberly and the Deadly Dark Dragon were able to load chunks again. Due to all the relogging, the group had too much attention at that point. Players on the server assumed they had a dupe, so Deadly Dark Dragon, Bramberly, and Metres started to spam in chat that they had a dupe, and how good it was. They started to give out fake information. Metres went to, in quotes, help some players, test a method that players suspected, but intentionally messed it up and lost the donkeys 10 times in a row. They created a giant misinformation campaign to get players to not believe they had it, and it worked perfect for them. Eventually, pretty much every donkey dupe on 2B2T was based on the same principles of the Phantom Zone, but the Phantom Zone itself did eventually disappear. To this day, the group had no idea what the Phantom Zone actually was, making it one of the most mysterious exploits on the server to this day. Thanks for watching. I would like to thank Bramberly for the information in this video. I would also like to thank Alouneri, Sunglasses, and Alexmasonseals for being the actors in this video. Leave a like, and maybe consider subscribing for more information like this in the future. Anyway guys, stay fast, and see you guys next time.